Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2025 Breakfast of Champions. Please welcome to the stage Colorado Uplift CEO Dr. Joe Sanders.
All right, good morning, everyone. I'd like to say welcome to the Breakfast of Champions. Today, it's all about celebrating community champions. Community champions who have really served to change the game. Champions who have really shaped the destinies of our students and our communities. And so we want to spend some time honoring and celebrating them today. But before we get into that, I'd like to say a little bit more about Colorado Uplift. So for those of you who have been around for a while, you know a little bit about who we are and what we do. But I know we have a few new folks, so I just want to share with you a little bit about what we do, because I think it's always important to know, who you're with and what you're getting into. So about Colorado Uplift, you should know that we've been around and we've been building long-term, life-changing relationships for 43 years. Yes. You should also know that we were founded on a basic premise that every child has infinite value and worth. And you should know that the children that we work with face cycles, really generational cycles, that are oftentimes defined by poverty, by violence, by addictions, and by a lack of mentorship. And that is actually why at the center and the key we believe to breaking these cycles is having a trusting relationship with the mentor. Because study after study shows us that when you have a caring adult in a kid's life, it changes everything. And we believe these studies, but we bring these studies to life, one relationship at a time. You should also know that we have several programs. We have in-school programs that offer up accredited classes. We also have after-school programs where our kids get a chance to go to the mountains. You're seeing some of those around the room here. All designed to develop character, leadership, and life skills. To also set our students up at the post-secondary level where they have a pathway so that they can thrive in their communities and beyond. You should know that we are indeed replacing these cycles of struggle with cycles of opportunity, success, and significance. So that's a little bit about what Colorado Uplift's all about. Hopefully you're still feeling welcome. If that's the kind of thing you want to be up to, hopefully that's welcoming to you. But in addition to what we do, I want to give you a sense of how we do what we do, because we have some ways of being here at Uplift. If you came to one of our classes, or if you came to one of our staff meetings, you'll see certain things. You'll see how sometimes we might snap, sometimes we might clap, sometimes we might do a call and response. You might see after we want to celebrate something, we might say, hey, Uplift, snap it up. Uplift, snap it up. We might do something like, hey, 2 claps on 2, 1, 2. And we have a call and response. I may say something like, one team, one team. So I invite you, as you join in with us today, the participants, to loosen up a little bit, right? So this, I know I'm on a tie, and I'm saying, but this is Uplift. And again, I want to invite you, I want you to feel welcome, not to what we do, but just how we do it. And maybe you could participate as I go through and I thank a few folks today. I'd like to begin by thanking the folks here at Infinity Park, the sound crew, everybody who set things up. Everything looks great, as well as the staff who helped set this up. So you all can join in by help me snap it up for them, please. And for Nicole Wirtz, I see her at the back of the room. Can we snap it up for her as well? special thank you for spearheading all this. We also have sponsors. You saw some of their names, and you'll see their names displayed. We want to thank them as well. So could we give them 2 claps on 2? 1, 2. I also know that we have some folks from Elevate USA in the house. I saw the CEO, Kevin Byerly, earlier. I think Butch Sill is here, who's also somebody who helped launch Uplift as well. But the work they do across the nation in replicating what we do in well over 20 cities is tremendous. And we want to give them 2 claps as well. 2 claps on 2. And to our community partners, our staff that's here, we have a lot of community partners in the house, but we also have some of our staff members here as well. We appreciate you. And we also have several of our board members. And when we think about what we do, it's really all about having a unified effort, coming together for a common and noble purpose, truly coming together as one team in one fight. So for that, in a recognition of that, can we get a little call and response? One team? Oh, I know you could do better than that. One team? One team? All right, all right. I think that's going to be an okay fight. We'll go with that. We'll go with that. And with that, I also want to pay a special recognition to the co-founder of Colorado Uplift, Ms. Diane Hutchison, who helped to found Uplift with Kent Hutchison, her husband, years ago. Diane, I just want to say thank you to you for your years of dedicated service. Thank you for answering the call. And we also want to thank you for the legacy that you've created. So can we give her a round of applause? As I continue to welcome you, I'm going to go ahead and welcome you to a little bit of a sneak peek into an Uplift classroom. So if we could go ahead and play the video for that, please.
I remember the first lesson that they first ever taught was, "Who are you?" And I simply answered with just, "My name is Leiku." But now I get to think about it with more of an open mind.
One of the great things about Colorado Uplift is the tangible impact that we can see. Over 90% of the students that we work with will graduate from high school. Over 85% of them will go on to college or trade or enter into the military.
When I was younger, before I joined Uplift, I never did anything in the summer or even during the school year. But after Uplift, it really helped me get out of my shell and learn new things. I tried new things. I got to become a whole new person and try new experiences that I would have never been able to do.
We want them to stand and to own their words and communicate effectively and express who they are as a leader. Even if they don't get it right the first few times, it builds a culture where they can do it more confidently.
Our staff are from the communities we serve. And so that's something that really helps us in terms of being able to relate and connect to the challenges in the communities, because our staff have lived and experienced those challenges firsthand.
The most important lesson I'll take away is probably who I am.
Together, we can build the next generation of leaders.
Together, we can build the next generation of leaders. I'd like to say a word or two now about a family who really took that and has taken that seriously. This is a family that has been really on the front lines with us for several years now. They are truly the embodiment of a community champion. And I'm talking about none other than Dave and Doreen Beaver. And for those of you who know, I don't have to say too much about them. Their heart and their passion for our mission and for what we do, it goes without saying. But you should know that their generosity has really led to them starting a back-to-school drive that has provided opportunities for students and backpacks for really hundreds of students and families. They've also been very involved in providing scholarships for a number of students as well. And not only do they provide financial support, they are there to inspire and provide inspiration. One particular student I know, they supported this student in getting a bachelor's degree, but then inspired her to go on and finish her master's degree, as well as helping to support and pay for that master's degree. Dave has also been a member of our board and our executive committee. And the other thing I appreciate about them is that their impact goes beyond just Uplift. They're also in the fight in sponsoring research and investing in research to fight against cystic fibrosis. You know, Dave told me once that, sometimes you choose your charities, but other times the charities choose you. So their impact and their reach is wide, but more importantly, it's personal, and they are changing lives. And at an additional level of a personal connection, Dave, I want to just thank you so much for the times that we spent together, for those encouraging notes that you send to me on a consistent basis, for the times you check in and ask how my family's doing. I want to thank you also for the guidance that you provided me, the mentoring and the counsel you've provided me. I greatly appreciate our time together over fish tacos at Billy's Inn, sometimes a little barbecue at Post Oak. You've made a difference for me, and I'm indeed grateful. So with that said, please join me in welcoming up Dave and Doreen Beaver. Yeah, appreciate you. Oh, you're very well. Thank you. Appreciate it. I think they're going to get a quick picture here.
Okay.
All right. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. All right. Take it. And next, I'd like to say a word or two about somebody who knows a little bit about being a community champion, actually a lot of bit about that, and knows a lot about investing in our youth. His excellence on the field is matched only by his compassion and his desire to contribute off the field. Peyton Manning is here with us today, but you should also know that he's been with Uplift for a long time now. Peyton and his foundation has contributed to Uplift for at least 10 years, and we're very grateful for that as well. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Peyton Manning and our very own Clifford Hickey to the stage.
Rocky Top, you'll always be home sweet home to me. Good old Rocky Top, Rocky Top, Tennessee. Rocky Top, Tennessee. Once two strangers climbed old Rocky Top, looking for a moonshine still. Strangers ain't come down from Rocky Top.
Hey, we're going to get started in just a second. Before we get going, we actually have something for them. Ask you all just to stand with us for a little bit, because what we like to be able to do is illustrate the impact that you all have had. And I'm going to turn over to you in just a moment here, Clifford, who is our executive committee member, and he's graciously agreed to do this for us. But before we do that, this idea of generational impact is something that we've been holding on to, and I want to illustrate that for you all today. About 40 years ago, Mike Riley walked into a school. And Mike had a vision and an interest in investing in young people. And one of those people he invested in was Vic Nellum. Now, Mike helped Vic see some things in himself that he never thought were possible. And it just changed everything for Vic. And so Vic, in turn, invested in PT. And PT got to realize for the first time what it was like to have somebody in his corner, somebody to challenge him, to support him, to hold him accountable. And it was so impactful for him, he just couldn't contain himself, so he had to, in turn, invest in Vic's son, Israel. And not to be outdone, Israel said, I can't let this stop here. I have to continue to pay this forward. So Israel now invests in PT's son, Pierre. Generational impact, and I'm sure Pierre is destined to be an Uplift student, right, Pierre? But also, I know Pierre has something to say to you, Mr. Manning.
Thanks, Mr. Manning, for believing in kids like me.
You're welcome.
Good job, guys. All right. We can just set that there, and we'll let you all get started. Thanks, Cliff. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me this morning.
Well, Peyton, thanks for being here. I think everybody here appreciates it. I see a play clock back there, so I think we probably should get started. Let's start by talking about life after football. What do you miss most about playing on Sundays, and what don't you miss?
I don't miss getting hit anymore. I had a guy ask me the other day, said, boy, I bet you don't miss those blindside hits when the defender hits you in the backside. And actually, believe it or not, for the majority of my career, Clifford, I avoided the blindside hits mainly because of all of you, the fans. When you're getting ready to throw and all of a sudden you hear 80,000 people go, you sort of scoot up a little bit because something bad's about to happen. I don't miss getting hit. I think what I miss more than anything, and I'm sure all of you can relate, is simply just being a part of that team. In the NFL, there's 53 players on a team. It is the ultimate form of bonding, camaraderie, and fellowship. You do everything together. You practice together. You lift weights together. You watch film together. You travel together for the games. I miss those plane rides after a win. Nothing quite like being on a plane with 53 of your friends after this hard-fought victory. The adrenaline, the emotion really is hard to describe, and I do miss that. And I tell people all the time, next time you're on that flight and that flight attendant says, this plane cannot take off, everyone is seated and your cell phones are turned off, that is not true. Because after an NFL game, everybody's standing up, they're on their phones, they're high-fiving and hugging, and that plane takes off just fine. So I miss the plane rides is what I miss.
Let's shift gears to your family. Talk about the influence that your family's had on you, especially your dad. And what's the biggest lesson you think you've learned from him that you would want to pass on to your kids and to others here in the audience?
Yeah, I had great parents, support growing up. My dad was my favorite football player, my dad, my role model, my hero, kind of all wrapped into one. He was very present in our lives. I know for a fact, Clifford, he said no to some things after he retired from the NFL that would have taken him away from being a part of his kids' lives. My dad was at our Little League baseball games. He was at our school functions, and that was important to me. I could see my dad in the stands at my youth basketball game. So I've tried to follow that same approach in this second chapter for me. I'm busy, I'm stimulated, I do way too many commercials, I apologize. I got some more coming out this fall, I'm just gonna warn you. But I was at my daughter's volleyball game last night in Westminster. I coached my son's youth football team the past 3 years every Saturday, so my dad was a great role model from that standpoint about being present in our kids' lives, which is important. But he also never pushed us or pressured us into playing sports. He supported the sports because he thought sports teaches you valuable lessons, taking coaching, overcoming adversity, working with different types of teammates. we never pushed or pressured us. I think that's important. He was always there after the game to tell us he loved us, tell us he was proud of us, and try to do the same thing with our kids. There was a good documentary on my dad several years ago, kind of telling his story. He lost his father when he was in college, had a big impact on his parenting philosophy. Really well done documentary. I personally think, Clifford, it showed a few too many crying videos of me as a 3-year-old. At what point do you think you'd stop filming your 3-year-old son getting kicked in the head by his older brother and maybe go out there and help the poor kid? No, I got to keep filming. This might be a documentary one day. So besides that, he's been a great dad.
Well, you've already touched on this a little bit, it sounds like, but tell us about your relationship with your brothers, Eli and Cooper. What was it like growing up with those guys, and how has it transformed over the years?
Yeah, I was the middle child. Cooper's 2 years older than me. Eli's 5 years younger than me. Cooper taught me a lot, beat up on me a little bit. I felt I needed to do those same things down to Eli. We were big kids. Cooper was 12 pounds, 3 ounces at birth. I was 12 pounds, 1 ounce. Eli was only 10 pounds. We thought something was wrong with him, and I think we were right. My dad was always including us in activities, bringing us to the locker room after games. So we got to grow up around football, which was fun. But my parents always told us, if you ever want to disappoint us as parents, just don't get along with your brothers. It'd be one way to kind of let us down. So we've always remembered that. I'm not saying we didn't fight or argue like siblings do. We've always had each other's backs growing up and still do today. Cooper and I played 1 year of high school football together. He was a senior wide receiver. I was a starting quarterback as a sophomore. I completed 120 passes that year. I threw 90 of them to my brother. Probably the most enjoyable year I've had playing football, because we grew up playing in the backyard, grew up playing on the Saints Superdome turf after games, and to finally play a real year of high school football together, that was a lot of fun. He went to Ole Miss, had a neck injury, had to give up his career. The grace and attitude with which he handled that adversity had a huge impact on me when I went through my injuries. He just had a great faith, a great attitude. Didn't play football, but he's been successful in business, raised a great family, became a social legend at Ole Miss, if that makes sense to anybody in this room. So he still made his mark. Eli, being 5 years young, we never played on the same team. Eli was always kind of getting dragged to all of my Little League games by my parents. Eli and I really got closer when I got to Tennessee and he started playing high school ball. And then I got drafted by the Colts and he started playing college football. Our relationship really became stronger. I'd come back and see him and sort of help him with some of the things that I learned about playing quarterback. And then for many years, we were in the same business, right? It's nice to have a sibling in the same business. We'd share ideas. We'd share game plan notes against common opponents. And I'm just proud of Eli, the way he's handled himself in the community, on the playing field, playing up there in New York, and now we work together. So I played against him 3 times in the NFL. And I have to say, we really didn't enjoy that much, because you pull hard for your brother. You want your team to win, but you want the best for your brother. I will say all 3 games before the game started for the national anthem, I looked across and my brother and I are on the same exact yard line singing the national anthem. And you kind of say, that's kind of cool. That's my little brother. We're about to play in front of 80,000 people. So glad it was only 3 times. It was tough on my parents. They were pulling for Eli. I get that. He's the baby in the family. But our team won all 3 times, so it worked out as well.
So Peyton, I'm sure you have a lot of role models in your life and mentors, especially coaches. How important has that been to you?
Well, much like Colorado Uplift, we all need role models and mentors in our lives. And besides my family, coaches have been my mentors. They've had the greatest impact on me. And luckily, I got to get coached for a very long time, up until I was 40 years old, my last year playing for the Broncos. I played for a guy in Indianapolis named Tony Dungy. Every bit as good a human being as he was a coach. He treated you so well that you just didn't want to let him down, and you played harder for him. You didn't want to disappoint our leader. You wanted to make that great catch for him or that great throw for him. Never raised his voice, never used any type of language. He was just as calm in the 4th quarter of a Super Bowl as he was out there at practice every day. And I think when your leader is calm, it's easy for the people following that leader to be calm as well. He was always talking about take care of the little things. The big things will take care of themselves. He's always talking about expectations, execution, no excuses, no explanations. So I find myself quoting Tony Dungy in my everyday life still today. I played for a loyal coach in college at Tennessee named Philip Fulmer. He always had your back, especially when times get tough. That's important, right? Someone's going to have your back, especially if you hit some adversity. On a lighter note, I played for a real character down in New Orleans. My high school coach, he's 90 years old now. We still stay in touch. He was a great coach. He was kind of famous for these malaprops, right? These Yogi Berra type expressions. He would always tell us for the team picture, line up alphabetically by height. Smart kids at our school were trying to figure that one out. He'd tell all his right-handed quarterbacks, he'd say, Peyton, when you're rolling out to the left now, it'd be a heck of a lot easier if you could throw the ball left-handed if you were amphibious. I think he meant ambidextrous. I never asked him. And the last one, you can tell I got a long list of these, but recruiting has changed now, Clifford. A lot of it's done through social media. But back when I got recruited, colleges sent you a written questionnaire. So I'm 17 years old. I'm sitting in my high school coach's office filling out one of these questionnaires. I said, Coach, it's got some questions here about you. He said, what's it say? I said, it's asking for the name of my high school, name of my high school coach, and what is my high school coach's alma mater? I said, Coach, I've never even asked you before, what is your alma mater? And he said, always do your best. Which is good advice, by the way. You know, the last serious note I'll share about coaching and mentoring, Clifford, is that I believe no matter what level of success anyone reaches, and I know people in this room have reached the highest level, we still need to be coached. We are going to hit a plateau at some point in our performance, and you need a coach to be candid with you, to speak the truth, and get you back on track. And that is literally a coach, a teacher, certainly a parent, a guidance counselor, a coworker, a boss, someone that speaks the truth to you. Don't ever stop going back to that person. Every NFL offseason, I used to go back and see my college offensive coordinator. His name was David Cutcliffe. He coached me at Tennessee, coached Eli at Ole Miss. He was the head coach at Duke. Wherever he was, I'd go find him in the offseason, and we'd work on the most basic fundamentals of how to play quarterback. How do you take a snap from the center? How do you call a play in the huddle with some presence? And you might ask, well, why would a 15-year NFL veteran need to go back and learn how to take a snap again? The point is the little things matter in whatever it is that you're doing. And if you stop doing those little things, that's usually when your performance begins to slide. So I'd encourage you all to keep being coached.
Well, Peyton, your lead-in was perfect there. We're going to go off script here a little bit and have a little surprise for you.
Hey, Peyton, this is Tony Dungy, your old coach. I know what you can do for young people, and I hope that you inspire these kids the same way you did those Saturday Night Live kids a few years ago.
Peyton Manning takes time out to volunteer with local youth groups.
You guys ready to play some football? Yeah!
Oh. When you hit them in the back.
Let's go. Except you. I can't even look at you. You know what? Go sit in the portal for 20 minutes. That's right. You stay in there.
And you hit them in the head with 100-mile-an-hour bullets.
Okay, I'm sorry. Do you want to lose? I throw, you catch. It's not that hard, okay?
No, seriously, I know what you're going to bring to these young people, and I'm so thankful and grateful that once again you're reaching out to help the young people in our community.
That was pretty good. Peyton, we'll let you touch on that maybe a little bit later, but you started mentioning your college career. Why did you return to Tennessee for your fourth year?
Yeah, I had a tough decision. I graduated in 3 years in college because I had to be there for every summer for football workouts. I took maximum hours, and then knowing I might leave after my junior year, I took a lot of hours my junior fall and junior spring because I went to college with two goals, to get the best education that I could get and to be the best football player I could be. And so the fact that I was going to have my degree made it tough to go back to college. I think when you're making decisions these days, I'm still sort of the old school. Get out the yellow notepad and kind of write out those pluses and minuses right in front of you. I think sometimes that answer is just staring right in front of you. Then I think you got to talk to people, ask questions, people that maybe have faced a similar decision, get their advice. Eventually, you got to pray about it, and then you got to just trust your gut and instincts and make a decision. But whatever decision you make, a lot of people judge right away whether that was a right or wrong decision. I think they're both wrong. I think when you make a decision, it is up to you to make it the right decision after the fact by going all in, full speed ahead, not looking back. So when I decided to stay for my senior year, I realized there was a chance that I could get injured. I said, if that's just the Lord's plan for me, then that's the way it works out. But I rushed my first 3 years in college. I was always running to class, running to practice, and I didn't want to be 49 years old now like I am now, kind of wondering, I don't remember anything about college. I didn't want to regret that. So I stayed for my senior year, and we had a good year. I made some friendships with some students and some teachers off the football team that are important to me today. So it was one of the best decisions that I ever made. I also, Clifford, felt like I got more prepared for the NFL. My rookie year with the Colts was really hard. Look, I was the first pick in the NFL draft, and that was a real honor. But let me tell you, when you're the first pick in the NFL draft, you're going to a team that has earned the first pick in the NFL draft. There is a reason they have that pick. And we only won 3 games that year. I threw 28 interceptions, which is still an NFL rookie record that I hold today. Not proud of it. I mean, surely somebody's going to break that at some point. I mean, we've gone to 17 games. The problem is when the rookie struggles now, the quarterback, the head coach takes him out. I go, no, leave him in there. Let him learn. Anyway, I'm over it for the most part. My point is, Clifford, we went 3-13 my rookie year, but we went 13-3 the next year. I don't think that would have happened had I not stayed all 4 years in college and gotten mentally stronger and more mentally prepared to handle sort of the ups and downs that can come with going into a professional football.
Well, you had some time to think about those decisions, but when you're at the line calling plays, you're known for calling audibles. That's a quick decision. Tell us about that.
Yeah, look, I think when you call an audible in football or in business, in life, look, I do think guts and instinct and courage are a part of it, right? But I really think it boils down to what I would just call dogged preparation, just kind of having a plan for what might be coming down the road, and when that situation comes about, you go to that plan. When you saw me audible playing for the Broncos, or when you watch Patrick Mahomes audible on Sunday playing for the Chiefs, it looks kind of spontaneous, like he's kind of winging it on the fly, waving his arms and calling out these words. But every audible that I ever called, we had practiced it. We had talked about it. We said, hey, if the defense ever does this, this is what we're going to audible to. We were not winging it, right? Winging it's not good in football, in business, or in life. And, we'd say, hey, this situation might come about this Sunday. It might be next week. It might not be to the end of the season. But this is the plan if this comes about. So I think it goes back to preparation. Don't wait till the situation comes about and then figure out what we're going to do. Let's talk about it now. Now, I did call a lot of audibles that didn't work. And I'd come over the sidelines and I'd say, maybe we should have stuck with the original plan. My head coach, Tony Dungy, my teammates always said, nope, that was the right plan. We didn't execute it the way we should have. Don't second guess yourself. I think because I had the backing of my coaches and my teammates, most of the audibles did work. So I'm a big believer in preparation, and I think that serves you well when you're making a tough decision and potentially calling an audible.
This next question, I think, is why everybody came here to get this answer. But what does Omaha mean?
So, yeah, when we called audibles here in Denver, we said Omaha after the audible. And when you audible, oftentimes there's only a few seconds left on the play clock because the defense doesn't show what they're going to do until late on the play clock. So then the quarterback only has a certain amount of time to change the play. So you only have a few seconds left. So Omaha was the word that meant we've changed the play. We've gone from plan A to plan B. And now get ready now. We're about to snap the ball. It was a rhythmic 3-syllable word. Omaha, snap the ball. There was no real rhyme or reason for that word other than it was 3 syllables. But, I'll say this too. The reason you can hear what's being said, when you watch the Broncos play on TV this Sunday, the reason you can hear what Bo Nix is saying is when I got to Denver that year, the NFL, they turned the sideline microphones up louder. And players are mic'd up. They wanted to bring the television viewer closer to the game so you can hear all the hits and you can hear all the action. What was the problem was we found out the defenses we were getting ready to play that Sunday were actually watching the television copies of the game to learn all of our verbiage and terminology that we've worked so hard to protect, and now we're just sort of broadcasting it out to all of our competition, right? I mean, look, there's a reason some of these guys are playing defense. There's no geniuses on defense, okay? But I'm just kidding. But we really did feel like it was a disadvantage because guys were learning some of our plays. And I'd go to the broadcasters, the Jim Nances, the Chris Collinsworth, and I'd say, can you turn those microphones down? And they wouldn't do it because they wanted the access, which I get now that I'm kind of on the TV side. So my one regret in all the years I'm playing, instead of staying in Omaha, was to get up there under center one time and go, blue 20, Jim Nance is a no good, you know what, son of a mother. You know, I think they would have turned those microphones down. Never had the guts to do it. So that's why you can hear what's being said. Omaha was just that indicator trigger word, and all I can tell you is I'm a really big deal in Omaha, Nebraska now. I went there a couple years ago. I got the key to the city, got some steaks out of the deal, so ended up being, if you want to get your company some viral marketing, try to get it into a quarterback snap count during a game.
You've had a reputation of being one of the best prepared quarterbacks in the league. How has this discipline helped you in other aspects of your life?
Yeah, I think preparation, Clifford, is where I felt I could get an edge on the competition. We're all trying to get an edge out there somehow. I couldn't throw it as far as, I mean, you know, Brett Favre, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Bo Nix. I mean, they can throw it probably as far as they want. That wasn't me. If you remembered watching me play, you certainly know that I couldn't outrun anybody. I had a coach tell me once that I couldn't run out of sight in a week. That was nice. But I thought I could out-prepare them, and whether I had or I hadn't, I told myself that nobody has watched more film, nobody spent more time talking to their teammates about the game plan. So when I lined up under center at 2:15 Mountain Time on Sundays, I felt confident because I'd out-prepared the opponent, and I think that just serves you well. My dad was always giving me quotes when I was a kid from a lot of sports figures and leaders, and I want to say I was in high school, gave me a quote from the legendary Pittsburgh Steelers head coach Chuck Noll, who once said, pressure is something that you feel only when you don't know what you're doing. And that just applies to school, it applies to business, life, it certainly applies to sports, that I was going to try to know what I was doing. I was going to try to do my homework. Did I get nervous before a game? You bet. I think it's good to get nervous before a big opportunity. That means you care about the outcome. It means it's important to you. That's a good thing. Anxious, excited, you bet. I couldn't wait for that big moment to get there. Pressure means you really aren't prepared. You haven't really studied, you haven't done your homework. That's a bad feeling. So I never wanted to have that feeling. And I think it still serves me well in this second chapter for me, Clifford. I'm doing some things outside of my comfort zone that I'm not very knowledgeable of, but I ask lots of questions. I try to surround myself with people that are smarter than me in some of those spaces. And so I think preparation is always going to serve you well.
Let's talk about leadership. Maybe think back to your rookie season with the Colts. How did you establish your credibility in a locker room full of veterans? And then you had to switch to the Broncos, where you were the veteran and you probably had a lot of rookies in the locker room. How did you deal with that?
Yeah, it's a great question, and thanks for taking me back to my rookie year with the Colts. 3-13, 28 interceptions, great memory. No, but you're right, because now you're 22 years old, Clifford, and there's expectations, and now you have 37, 38-year-old grown adults in that huddle looking at you. How are you handling this adversity? Are you blaming others? Are you taking responsibility? I learned a valuable lesson in leadership when I was in college, really my first game in college at Tennessee. I wasn't expecting to play at all my very first game. We were playing up at UCLA in the Rose Bowl. We had a starting quarterback who was a fifth-year senior. He gets hurt on the seventh play of the game. He's out for the year. For you baseball Colorado Rocky fans, our backup quarterback at Tennessee that year was a guy named Todd Helton. And Todd kind of knew baseball was going to be his ticket, and had a can of Skol in his football pants. And so they put Todd in, and, you know, we don't do much. So they take Todd out, and they said, Peyton, you're going in. And, boy, I was so nervous. I'm jogging in the huddle. Our team's getting beat. We're in a bad mood. We've lost our starting quarterback. And I remember my dad's advice. He said, son, you got to be the leader if you ever get in that huddle. Doesn't matter if you're 18 years old. Be the leader and take control of that huddle. So I remembered his advice. I get into that huddle. I said, all right, guys, I know I'm just a freshman, but but I could take us down the field right now, get us a touchdown, get us back in this game. Big left tackle, about 6'5", 330 pounds, grabs me by the shoulder and says, "Hey, freshman, shut the blank up and call the blank in play." And I said, "Yes, sir." And great advice from my dad. I really appreciated that. You know, it was a humbling and embarrassing moment, Clifford, but it taught me a valuable lesson. These new coworkers of mine, these new teammates, they didn't want to hear what I had to say. I had not earned their respect by any means, so I didn't say another word in that huddle the rest of the season. But I tried to be the first one out to practice, the last to leave, took responsibility for my play, and I think slowly toward the end of that year kind of earned the respect of my teammates to be more of a vocal leader. So that's the philosophy that I kind of applied when I got to Indianapolis. I called it silent leadership, just not saying so much, more show me, don't tell me. And when I got to Denver, even though I'd played for 14 years, I had not played with these new Denver Bronco teammates like Von Miller. I wanted to earn their respect, so I came in here very quiet and humble, just letting the Broncos know, hey, I'm here to help the Broncos start winning again. And in September, in the NFL, the players vote on the captains. It's not a coach's choice, the players vote. And so I was voted a captain by my teammates, which kind of told me, okay, maybe I have earned their respect. Now I can be more of a vocal leader. I think leadership, if you boil it down to its essentials, is the ability to influence. If you can't influence a team, it's awfully hard to lead that team. And just because you are the quarterback, manager, CEO, or president doesn't make you a leader automatically. You have to earn the mantle of leadership. And I think to earn it, you first got to earn the respect of the people that you're trying to lead. You got to earn their trust, and that's not a process that you can rush.
Does your approach to leadership change if you're winning a game versus losing a game?
I think they're both challenging, and whether it's an actual game or business is good, business is struggling, your season's going well, I think both are challenging, right? When you're losing, if business is not great, there's a reason for it. We always felt like when we were losing games, we'd gotten away from kind of our core values and fundamentals, kind of our identity. We always simplified during that time and kind of got back to the basics. I'll say when you're losing, a business is struggling, having the right kind of people on your team is critical. Who's going to, look themselves in the mirror and say, what can I do to help us get out of this jam? Or who's going to blame others and not take any accountability? I always felt like we had the right kind of people on our teams in Indianapolis and here in Denver, people that you want to be in a foxhole with. And the talent acquisition process, I know in the corporate world, in the NFL world, it is critical. It is not about just hiring the most talented person if he or she doesn't fit into your corporate culture, your locker room. That Coach Dungy, who you just saw in that video, his philosophy was, does that player love football? And would he play for free? Not that he would ever have to, but would he? And you get a bunch of people like that are unselfish, put the team over self, that's when you have a chance to really be successful. And those are the people you want when you go through a tough time. Now you're winning. Business is good. What are you going to do to avoid being complacent? What are you going to do to keep that edge? I think sometimes you got to be creative. I mean, we had seasons where we'd won 8 games in a row. We're playing a team that's really struggling. The media is saying this is going to be a blowout. And, I said, how do we keep kind of that edge? Every NFL locker room has a bulletin board in there. And what do you put on there? Bulletin board material. That's when the other team says something bad about you that your coaches put up there to use to motivate you. Well, when things are good, nobody says anything bad about you. So when things were good for us, we'd won 8 games in a row. I used to just make up quotes that the other team said about us and put it on that bulletin board. And I'm telling you, my teammates would believe it. They go, what? That guy said that about me? I'm going to knock this guy out. So, but I think it's challenging. How do you avoid that complacency? Be a little bit creative, because I'm all for celebrating success. And when you throw a touchdown pass, you go down there and you high-five your receiver. Then you get over to the sideline and figure out how you go out there and do it again. All right? And just like a great year, you celebrate it, but then also your competition's coming for you. You got a target on your back. What are you going to do to be even better the next year?
Peyton, there are a lot of talented college players and NFL players out there. In your opinion, how do you separate the good from the great?
I don't think it matters, Clifford, if it's in college or pro football, or if it's just in business or in any field. I think you got to have ability. You got to have some ability. None of you would be in this room if you weren't good at what you do. You got to combine that with a good work ethic. You hear about that in sports all the time. Really talented player didn't work very hard. That player's not going to last very long. I think a third thing is a real passion for your job. You got to love your job. If you don't love it, I think people who love it more will probably pass you by. Eli and I used to always joke we would never tell the owners of the Colts or Giants or Broncos this, but we would have played for free because we love football that much. But you just kind of keep that to yourself. I think a real fourth thing is just a real feeling of accountability, that there are people counting on you to do your job. That's what drove me every day. I knew my teammates were counting on me, our fans were counting on me, our assistant coaches were counting on me. And when the Colts drafted me 20-something years ago, the media member asked me, hey, you just signed this contract. What are you going to do with this money? And I said, I'm going to try to earn it. That's what I'm shooting for. And I think that kind of needs to be the philosophy if you get hired at a new role, to earn it, right? They've hired you because you were good where you were before, but now we expect you to be good here. It's not really a reward, right? It's kind of an advance. And so the great players that I was around had that feeling of accountability, passion. They had a strong work ethic, and obviously they had some ability, and that sometimes can separate maybe certain people from the rest of the pack.
Peyton, tell us about your neck injury and how that ultimately led you to the Broncos. And did, in that process, did you have to change your game at all once you came back?
Yeah, I sure did, Clifford. I had a strange neck injury that I just couldn't quite get fixed, and finally got my neck fixed and got it secure and got cleared by the doctors. But of all things, it caused nerve damage in my right arm and right hand. And if only I was amphibious, I could have started throwing it left-handed. It was too late for that. But I kind of had to learn to play football in a new physical state. To use a baseball analogy, I couldn't throw the 100-mile-an-hour fastball anymore. But I found out you could still work the edges of the plate. You can still strike somebody out. So I couldn't throw it as far or as hard, but try to be very accurate on these shorter intermediate throws, use my experience and my football intellect, and could still remain an effective quarterback to move the chains down the field. I will say, when you go through a tough time, don't try to go through it alone. I had a lot of family and physical therapists and teammates and coaches giving me feedback. That was helpful. And also I learned that going through a change, coming to play for a new team for the Broncos, you better be flexible and adaptive. And by realizing that I could still play quarterback a different way, that I wanted to keep playing, the Broncos basically said, Peyton, give us your Colts playbook. We'll run all those plays that you want to run. We'll also run some plays that we think will be good for you at this point in your career. We'll work together and make it a collaborative effort to be an effective team. And we had immediate success because it was collaborative. Had I been stubborn and hard-headed and saying, no, I don't want to run any of your plays, it wouldn't have worked. Had the Broncos been that way, it wouldn't have worked. But being flexible and adaptive when you go through a change, for me, coming to play for the Broncos, that's a new corporate culture. It's a new offensive system, new teammates. It's a different language. You got to be flexible and adaptive. So in a weird way, Clifford, I'm almost glad I went through that adversity because I learned a lot about myself, that I could do it. And obviously got to, come here to Denver, be a part of another championship team, and I've lived here for 13 years now. So it was disappointing at the time to be injured and to miss an entire season. But like I said, I'm glad it ended up the way it did.
Who were your favorite players to play with or against? And I know you're probably going to say Eli, but
Yeah.
but maybe throughout a few others. And you mentioned it earlier. You don't miss the hits, but who hit you the hardest?
Yeah, it's so hard to pick a favorite teammate because I had so many great teammates in Tennessee, Indianapolis, here with the Broncos, and that's my greatest takeaway from football is the relationships that you make with your teammates, with the support staff, with the coaches, and I don't play anymore, but those relationships don't go away. The guy that hit me the hardest and the most often was the great linebacker for the Ravens, Ray Lewis. Smart, fast, strong, instinctive. Always thought he kind of knew a lot of our plays. Whenever he'd blitz, he kind of had this running start toward me, and he'd kind of hit me and kind of drive me into the ground, and he'd kind of use me to help him get up and sort of whisper in my ear, I'll be back here in a couple minutes, punk. Very friendly guy. When he retired, it was one of the greater days of my life. He and I get along great now, but I don't remember him being that nice to me when we were playing. So, yeah, thanks for bringing that up as well, Clifford.
Well, speaking of trash talking, you were an intense competitor, right? But you were never a trash talker. You were always respected, except for maybe those kids in the video. Yeah, that's right. No, seriously, I think this is one reason why you were respected so much. What kept your emotions and more importantly, probably your behavior in check.
Yeah, my dad always talked about having respect for the opponent, for the fans, for the referees, and kind of like I said, you know, when you throw that touchdown pass, you high five, and then you get over to the sidelines and figure out how you're going to do it again. I think to engage in trash talking, I didn't know how to do it. I wasn't very good at it, but I think that was kind of taking me away from what I really should be doing, is talking to my teammates. And I think the defense almost wanted me to, if we could get him away from doing that and talking to us, that's the advantage for us. And football's all about who's dictating to who, and you never want to do what the opponent wants you to do. So I didn't always keep my cool. We played the Dolphins one time, and this referee that I knew, he did my games in college. I talked to him before the games. He made the worst holding call I'd ever seen, and I lost my cool, and I let him have it. And we ended up winning the game, and I tried to find him after the game to apologize. But, you know, those refs, they are sprinting off the field. And I called the league office, and I wanted his address to write him an apology letter, and they wouldn't give me his address. I thought I was like, go to the guy's house and beat him up. So, like, nobody apologizes to a referee. So, look, I think when I made mistakes, my dad taught me, you know, admit your mistakes and try to make it right with it with an apology letter. But I think the idea is to stay even-keeled, not get too high, too low out there, and keep your emotions in check.
Let's shift gears to what you're doing today. You are officially in the content business with the creation of Omaha Productions. Tell us how that came about and some of the shows you're working on today.
Yeah, it's funny that Audible turned into a business, but that's exactly right. We're kind of in the content creation business and trying to create sort of positive, unifying content that celebrates hard work, people's accomplishments, kind of a sense of community, and I think there's a need for content out there. We produce, you know, several shows, you know, including the Monday night show that Eli and I do, which we certainly enjoy doing. You know, we watch, you know, a Monday night game kind of from home. I do it from Denver. A friend of mine's kind of garage. Eli does it from New Jersey. We watch the games, and we have guests on that the number one criteria, Clifford, is they have to love football. You know, they can't come on there to promote their movie or book. They have to truly love football. And I love talking to people who love football as much as I do, especially from all walks of life. And we've had President Obama, diehard Bears fan, Condoleezza Rice, Broncos fan, can break down a cover two defense as well as I can. Snoop Dogg has been a youth football coach for years out in L.A. He's had a huge impact on a number of young men. 3 different backgrounds, but we all can kind of come together and unify and watch a football game together. So I think watching a game can be kind of a unifier, which is good during these times. Now, these guests are on via Zoom, so you know you can see them kind of in between commercials. There was a little more smoke coming out of Snoop's Zoom than there was Condoleezza's, right? But we can wave that out, and, you know, 3, 2, 1, here we go. So I like doing it. You know, I'm in that show, obviously. What I like about Omaha Productions is that we're producing a lot of shows that I'm not in, Clifford, and I really enjoy that. I've never really been a part of something where I didn't sort of have to be the quarterback of it. I'm kind of the offensive coordinator up in the press box, kind of offering my thoughts. And, you know, we have a show. Eli did this little skit a few years ago called Chad Powers, where he dressed up as a walk-on quarterback at Penn State, wore a prosthetic mask, and kind of did good in the tryout, and the coach kind of said, hey, we think we might want you on the team, and he rips the mask off and realizes it's a 43-year-old ex-quarterback. Well, it was a fun little skit. It's becoming a TV show that Glenn Powell thank goodness, is playing Chad Powers and not Eli, and it comes out on Hulu next week. So I've kind of learned that there are no crazy ideas, but I'm not in this show. I've offered some thoughts and input on Glenn's quarterbacking skills. He was not a high school quarterback, I can tell you that much. But I like being a part of that, right? You feel like you're a part of a team and giving other people kind of a platform to kind of show their talents. That's what I've enjoyed about being a part of Omaha.
As we saw in the video, you've been the host of Saturday Night Live, ESPYs, and you've done numerous commercials, as you said, and maybe way too many. But I don't think anybody here would say way too many. We love seeing them. And you're pretty damn funny, by the way. But tell us of any funny stories about any of that you can share with us.
Yeah, I mean, the video you saw right there, that was a skit for the United Way. The theme was United Way, spend time with your kids so Peyton Manning doesn't. And Andy Samberg wrote it. He said, I want you just to beat up on these kids. I want you to treat them like they're rookie wide receivers with bad attitudes. I said, I can channel that. And the hard part, Clifford, was their parents were out there the whole time. And it made it very awkward for me. I mean, those footballs weighed nothing. They were as light as a feather. I mean, I was not hurting those kids, but they put those sound effects, but it looks like you were just knocking those kids out. And the director's like, Peyton, you're a charitable guy. That's why it's going to be funny, but you got to whack these kids right in the face. And I kept saying my mom's going to be so disappointed when she sees this. But anyway, we finally were kind of in the middle of it. I just said, you know what? I said, that woman's, the mother's watching me. I can't do it anymore. I said, this just feels slightly over the edge. So we were about to cancel it. And the same mom I was looking at ran out on the set and told the director, I want him to hit my kid in the face. And I said, I will knock your kid out, you know. So, and the commercials, yeah, I mean, look, the commercials, I kind of knew I was probably doing too many, or it was kind of taking a life of its own when they started creeping into the football meetings. In football, you film every game and you watch the film the next day. You film every practice and you watch the film of the practice the next day. So every day you're being graded and evaluated. And this is my last year in Denver. I'd thrown an interception in practice, and the coach said, Peyton, this is a greedy decision. The running back's wide open. You're forcing the ball in the double coverage. We got to make better decisions in this. And I love being coached. And I'm saying, yes, sir, I got it. I'm writing my notes down. And right behind me, Demarius Thomas, God rest his soul, leans in my ear and he says, number 18 screwed it up. And that familiar insurance jingle that you hear, he might have used a different word too. So that's kind of when I knew I'm probably doing too many commercials.
Okay, maybe turn to the last topic of this morning, and then we'll let you get out of here, Peyton. But I want to ask you about giving back. You and your wife, Ashley, are philanthropic in so many ways. Let's start with the Payback Foundation and the recent scholarships and endowments you've started. Tell us why that's so important to you.
No, thanks for asking. Ashley came up with the name when I got drafted by the Colts. Payback, sort of spelled like Peyton, P-E-Y, appropriately named, kind of paying back to the communities that have been a part of our lives, right? So the Payback Foundation, our mission statement is we provide grants to programs like Colorado Uplift that provide leadership growth opportunities to kids who don't have life easy in Louisiana, where I grew up, Tennessee, where Ashley grew up, where I went to college, Indiana, where we lived for 14 years, and now Colorado, where we live. There's more kids in those four areas that you could touch in a lifetime. But as you all know, if you help just one kid, or just like these 5 up here, that's worth it, and you're making a difference. So, I think in philanthropy, it's always hard to know whether you're winning or not, right? In football, there's a very clear scoreboard, and we all know on Sunday who's winning the game. And for me, throughout the years, through the Payback Foundation, I still write a lot of handwritten letters, and I still get a lot of mail. But I used to get a lot of letters from teachers whose students were part in some of our Payback Foundation programs. And they would write that, this student is paying attention in class more, he's behaving better because he feels like someone's kind of looking out for him. And I think that's kind of a touchdown, if you will, when it comes to philanthropy. So, so the Payback Foundation is something that's always, been important to me. I'm real involved with the Children's Hospital in Indianapolis that actually bears my name. Now, you talk about the power of teamwork, just like here at Uplift, but, when you see doctors and nurses working together to help a child get healthy, that motivates me every year to raise more money for the hospital every single year. And then also real involved with a foundation in Tennessee called the Pat Summitt Alzheimer's Foundation. Pat Summitt was the great women's basketball coach at Tennessee. She was a great friend of mine, lost her battle way too early to Alzheimer's, and kind of raising money to help keep her legacy alive. So listen, I know all of you are doing it. I know all of you are hopefully thinking about doing it for Colorado Uplift. I would tell you, find something that you're passionate about. I'm not sure there's a better cause than helping out our youth in today's world. And it can make such a difference on the beneficiary, but it can make such a difference with you as well, feeling like you really are a part of it. So, give your time, give your money, give your talent, ideally give all three. You can make a huge difference. And It's been a big part of my life, since I got drafted back in 1998.
Peyton, that's awesome. But so on behalf of the kids of Colorado Uplift, the staff, and really everybody in this room, we just want to, one, thank you for all you're doing in the community of Denver, and thank you for being here this morning. It's been fabulous. I've had fun. Hope everybody else has too. And we also want to thank you for your continued support of Colorado Uplift.
Thank you. Thank you all very much for
having
me.
And go Broncos.
Thank you. Go Broncos. Thank you all.
That's for you. Please, yes. Appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Well done. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right. So could we get 2 claps for Peyton? 1, 2. All right. All right. Incredible. Thank you again, Peyton and Clifford. What I'd like to do now is honor somebody that I think deserves some special recognition. I often tell people that I've never been more fulfilled in my life being at Colorado Uplift, and it's because I feel like I'm walking in my call. But the other part of that is because of the amazing staff that I get a chance to serve with. And David Ubaldo is one of those staff members. David has been with Colorado Uplift for a couple decades now, and he has been on the front lines of impacting lives and making a difference. And what I'd like to do now is have us take a look at the kind of impact that David's had. So could we play the video?
We had teachers driving 45 an hour away to teach us English. We had teachers driving 45 an hour away to teach us English, to teach us history. So there was no one to connect to in high school.
This young man, he came from a small little neighborhood in the southwest Denver in poverty, and he was at Kepner, and then we followed him to Lincoln as a high school kid.
Freshman year, I remember high school being at 1.9 GPA. He was one of the first ones that showed me the outdoors, and you don't do that a lot with people, minority people, right? So he took us to one of my first 14ers, and ever since then, I'm hooked. He always expressed that you can always change your story. That motivated me, like, hey, I don't have to be who I am right now. You can always change to be a better you. And I took that to heart, so started applying for scholarships.
And then he graduated from MSU. Now he's living his dream, he's married, and now he's an accountant downtown somewhere. And I see him on social media, he's traveling the world.
For the message to David is just saying thank you. Of helping us, because we didn't get that a lot in that zip code of 80219. We didn't get that many teachers that helped us. So just appreciation to David on that.
On graduation days, on birthday parties, special events, and they come and hug you, and they're so grateful that you took the time to pour into their child, is why I do it.
So please join me in welcoming David and David to the stage. Appreciate you, man. All right. Appreciate you. So we don't have a watch for you, but we do have a token of appreciation for your tenure with us for 20 years now. And I'd just like to present this ring to you as a token of our appreciation for all you do for us.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, come on in here, Dave. All right. Appreciate you, man. Okay, thank you. And I think David mentioned that his wife Myrna may have made it in. Did she make it? Is Myrna? Can she stand up? Is she? Ready? Yeah. Let's give her a round of applause too, because this doesn't happen without her support. So thank you for your support and your contributions for many years too. And the final person I'd like to introduce to you is somebody who is incredible. She is amazing, and I know you're going to enjoy hearing her story. She represents all that's good and all that's right, not with just Uplift, but really with the world. You'll see for yourself, you're here for yourself for a story. And so without further ado, I'm going to invite one of our alums up, Ms. Muku Pao.
Good morning, everyone. I am standing here today because God, the author of my story, intentionally put Colorado Uplift in my life with a purpose. In 2015, a family friend, who is also a donor of Colorado Uplift, invited my older brother to the summer program. She talked to him about the many adventures that Colorado Uplift would take him on, and of course, being a child, hearing of all the wonderful places, he accepted the invitation. I remember every week, my brother would come back home and talk to me about the amazing adventures he went on, like going mountain biking, putt-putt golfing, and even water worlds. Upon hearing this, I was just a little jealous, so I told him, next time you hang out with Uplift, you better tell them I want to join. The following year had come. This is the year that there was an Aurora team. The day Mr. Lemuel came over to my house to fill out paperwork, I remember hiding behind my mom and being the happiest girl with my heart racing with excitement. I knew that that day forward, I was going to experience the freedom of being a kid. Coming to America as a refugee from Burma and growing up in a low-income family, my mom only made enough to keep a roof over our head and food on the table. There would be days when the only meals my brother and I ate were fried eggs and hot dogs with rice, and that's because that's all we knew how to cook. Honestly, thinking back, it was a pretty solid meal. To also add on to the life I didn't deem normal, my father would be drunk before the sun had even come up. My mom didn't have the time to take my brothers and I to the mountains or even to the community park. And since my father was the only one at home, he would force us to stay inside. I distinctly remember after school, my brothers and I wanted to hang out with our friends so badly so that we would wait for my dad to fall asleep, and as quietly as possible, we sneak out of the living room window. By the time we got home, we knew that we had to pay the consequences, but at the end of the day, getting in trouble to hang out with our friends was worth it. I say this with so much relief. Joining Uplift gave me an excuse to get out of the house. During the summer program, every week we hang out and go on a new adventure. I vividly remember going to the Cheyenne Zoo. From the top of the mountains, I saw the view of Colorado Springs. Gazing in awe, while the fresh breeze blew through my hair, I felt peace. Miss Jessica was right next to me. I leaned over to her shoulder, and I knew that everything was going to be okay. A life-changing adventure I embarked on unawarely was building a meaningful and purposeful relationship with my teacher mentors, Mr. Lemuel, Mr. Cam, Miss Jessica, and Miss Dom. I knew that from that day forward, they were going to be my forever family. Fast forward during COVID, there were fewer opportunities to escape reality. Every night, there would be constant arguments between my parents, so the closet became my safe haven. Not wanting my youngest brother to be exposed to any of the drama, I would make him sleep in the closet with headphones on and tell him that this was our little fort. Many times, I would interfere to pull my mom away from my dad so that they would stop arguing, but that didn't stop anything. So because of all my unbearable frustration, I started arguing with my parents, yelling insults of how much their actions affected us, but me yelling also did not change anything. So at the age of 15, I ran away from home. I could not live in a house filled with toxicity, with my dad drinking every day, and to having his friends over, and my mom constantly arguing with my dad, and not doing anything to protect me and my brothers. Bitterness and anger filled my heart, and I felt so betrayed by my mom. When I left, I felt so ashamed because I didn't have a home or parents to call my own. I was ashamed, so I told no one what I was going through. Nearing the end of COVID, I was hanging out with Uplift Weekly. Mr. David started to notice that he was not dropping me off at home, so I opened up to him and told him about my story. He was attentive to everything I said. He made me feel seen, valued, and comforted. And from that day forward, him and Mr. Lemio held my hand and walked me through this chapter in life. In Uplift classrooms, we were taught 13 character qualities and life skills. Through communication, problem solving, and decision making, I learned to forgive my parents, myself, and also set boundaries. With kindness, I was taught that hurt people hurt others, so instead of letting bitterness rot my heart, I made peace with the hurt and showed kindness in return. Learning about responsibility, I knew that I had the responsibility to break generational bondage and create new beginnings. Along with career-mindedness and goal setting, I graduated top 10 in my class, receiving a full ride scholarship through the Betcher Foundation. And also additional scholarships on top of that. Now I'm an apprentice with the Urban Youth Ministries, who partners with Colorado Uplift. I envision myself becoming a doctor of osteopathic and practicing holistic medicine, and maybe even becoming the next CEO of Colorado Uplift. So Dr. Joe, you don't have to worry now, but down the future, you might have to find another job. Uplift shaped me to be a servant leader. I am the type of leader who cares for others, a leader who advocates for others, and a leader who has a growth mindset. All of the character qualities and life skills I learned at Uplift, I have embraced and continue to live out because they are the pillars and help shape me to be the person I am today. Every single one of us in this room has the power to influence. No matter how old, how brokenhearted, how young we are, we have the choice to make a positive or a negative impact on someone's life. On average, human will meet at least 70,000 people within their lifetime. And on average, we meet at least two new people a day. So starting today, when we meet someone new, let's choose to make a positive impact. My life and so many other students who have been a part of Colorado Uplift since 1982 are living proof of Colorado's Uplift mission statement, building long-term, life-changing relationships with urban youth. The relationships I built with Colorado Uplift did not stop after high school, and it doesn't stop now. I know that when I grow old to be 50, Colorado Uplift will be there for me. I want you to think about a person in your life or people in your life who had been there with you and held your hand through the hardest times. If you have the time, or whenever you do have the time, I want you to give them a text or a phone call and thank them for walking you through life. And if they are in this room today, thank you for being that person. To all the teacher mentors, thank you from the bottom of my heart for being my guardian angels. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for your support. And thank you, Colorado Uplift, for being my family.
That's a tough act to follow. Muku, you are strong and powerful, and we are so proud of her. We know her life is going to be incredible, and it's what a journey just to watch her grow. Thank you for joining us today. You guys look really good from up here. My name is Nicole. I get the privilege of asking you to join us in our mission. It has been quite a morning. Hearing from champions up here. You all have helped us champion students like Muku. You've helped us champion students like Vic and Israel and PT and Pierre. You've helped us champion students like David. And so, first and foremost, thank you. Some of you have been supporting our mission for decades. And you are the reason that these faces up on the screen are not only with us today, but they are thriving. They're graduating high school, they're going to school, they're getting meaningful careers, they're giving back to their community. They really are changing our city, and the reason we're able to do that is because each of you allow us to do that. We've heard about some championship moments today. It's not actually those moments, I think, that change lives. I think it's days like today, showing up. Sometimes we show up and we don't quite know why we're showing up. Some of you guys might be here today for the first time thinking, I just got invited. I think you're in this room for a reason. I think maybe this is your championship moment to be a game changer for our students. And so there's a pledge card in front of you. It's blue. If you want to grab that, there's a couple easy ways to give today. Give boldly. Give what you can. If it's joining us as a monthly giver, if it's scholarshiping a student for $1,000 a year, if it's scholarshiping an entire classroom of students, we would love for you to join our Uplift family. You are the reason that we're able to do this work. And so please fill that out. There's a QR code you can easily scan to give, and then if you'll just drop those at the desk on the way out, we would love to partner with you to reach more students. There are a lot of students just like Muku whose lives are really hard. And we get to show up every single day. That's what you allow us to do. And we get to call forth the leader that's within them. And yes, we get to watch them graduate and go to med school. But more than that, we get to transform this city. But we have to have your help. So I would just invite you today, give boldly. Just take a minute, look around the room. This is our team. It's a pretty good team. We got a good team. So thank you for joining us today. You guys are all champions for Colorado Uplift, and we are just so grateful. One last thing that I get to announce before we move on and let you go among your day is, for the last 4 years, we have been searching for a property where we can not only live our mission, but we can expand. We can serve more students, we can serve more families, and we truly can transform communities. And so what you'll see behind me are some renderings of a property that we're about to go under contract on. This is what we envision this property looking like, having a leadership training center, having athletic fields where our kids can get out and maybe be the next Peyton Manning. A campus that will be a hub of community involvement and activity, in a place where students like Muku can come and know that they are seen and heard and have a place to call their own. So that's all I get to share for right now. If you are excited about this possibility, we would love if you would find Dr. Joe or Brian or myself afterwards. We would love to take you for coffee and share this vision, because this is going to take an entire community to rally and get on board with this vision. But we know that this is our next chapter, and we're pretty excited about it. So that's it. Thank you for coming. Thank you for championing our mission. We can't do this without you. We hope you had an incredible day, and we look forward to the next time. Have a wonderful day.